Hello, and welcome to Mindless Consumers. Once again, we're your hosts, Brendan
and Ivana,
and this is a content and media analysis podcast where we look at film, TV, games, and literature with having no real qualifications to do so, and no one having asked us.
It's like if your English teacher was cool, but also not your English teacher.
And was actually the person behind the checkout counter that asked you how your day was going, and then you just really go into how you're not having a great day.
Even though you're meant to self-isolate and not be anywhere near that person at the checkout counter.
We are all in timeout. Which is how we'll be referring
to the current
timeout that's been issued.
Backstreet Boys reunion tour that we're not.
Yeah, that we're not.
That we're not referring to as the Backstreet Boys reunion tour because that's someone else's joke.
Yeah, Game Grumps got that one. They beat us to it.
So we're referring to it as timeout.
Yes.
Everyone is or should be in timeout.
So if we reference timeout at all,
we're talking about the fact that
about.
People should be in timeout, but some of them are rowdy and not doing that.
Some of them are out sulking, walking the streets, fucking about at the store when you're supposed to be in timeout.
Fucking about in queues at the bank when they should just do it online because it's a magical world in 2020.
All the cash that they can no longer use because this is a money-free timeout. So since we've been in timeout, we have tidied the house to within an inch of its life. And when that's done, you can only tidy so much. So when that's done, we've had to actually consume some media again, mindlessly. Which is impossible. We are the type to watch something stupid happen and pause the show or film we're watching
so we can talk
to then discuss how much that thing pissed us off.
Yeah. Which, as you can imagine, is very time consuming and perfect.
Yeah. And we get along great, but nobody else would get along with us very great.
Probably not.
So
we're doing a triple whammy of stuff.
Yeah.
This episode.
The episode's going to be the same length because, who's got time to have a 3-hour podcast? We're not Critical Role.
Wow.
Which is me. That was grossly reductive of what it is they do.
Yeah.
But
it's 3 hours. So
it's a 3-hour podcast where they pretend. I'm just jealous that they make it look so good. Yeah. Right. So we have consumed 3 things.
Mm-hmm. Well, we've consumed way more, but it seemed appropriate to talk about these 3 particular things, 2 of which are very popular at the moment. One of them is regionally popular, one of them is internationally popular for timeout, and then one of them is just a thing that we came across on Netflix, but seemed appropriate in light of the current events.
We were just giving stuff a go that we saw.
Yeah. And
this was one of those things.
So we'll start with that random thing that nobody else is watching and shouldn't.
Yeah, which is the Netflix Marvel. I don't mean Marvel.
No.
I mean the Marvel.
The Netflix original Marvel.
Yeah, the Netflix original thing that is marvelous. 6 Underground.
Yeah. With Ryan Reynolds.
Plot twist, it's fucking garbage.
But it's by the writers who worked on Deadpool 1 and Deadpool 2, Brendan.
There didn't see much proof of that.
No.
Because Deadpool 1 and Deadpool 2 had some semblance of a story and just coherent plotline and characters in general.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody was witty, but everybody wasn't Ryan Reynolds.
No.
This film is just Ryan Reynolds' spirit taking over 6 people. And
7, technically. Spoilers.
Well, at any one time.
Yeah. Oh, right. 6 people at any one time.
And they just quip at each other, and it's just... What talking points have we got for it?
So for the purposes of, obviously, if you haven't watched it but are looking to watch it, we don't. Well, no. We cannot go into what the ending is about and stuff to keep it at least a little bit more spoiler-free than some of our other stuff, which people would have most likely watched by the time they listen to the podcast.
You watch the first 10 minutes and you'll know how it ends.
Probably. But, so... Yes, so our talking points were everyone being Ryan Reynolds for the entire movie.
That was a
terrible
big,
world
big
building. And just the general, like, pointless direction of the plot. But we'll start with everyone being Ryan Reynolds.
I mean, the pointless direction is 80% of the whole film. It's so frenetic and high energy that it opens with like a 15-minute car chase.
Okay. So for anyone who doesn't know anything about it, it was directed by Michael Bay, which is immediately and painfully obvious in all of the explosions that take place within the first 15 minutes during the car chase scene. Things just blow up left, right, and center.
It's hot chicks, fast cars, and...
Does it have hot chicks?
I mean, not really. I mean, maybe. I can't actually remember.
It's got two very skinny ladies, one of whom is a doctor, but I haven't seen her license.
Yeah.
And
the other's an FBI agent.
And the other is a CIA agent.
That was the one, yeah.
But I haven't seen her license either. And then we've got a driver whose license I also haven't seen.
Yeah.
which is the running theme, is that so Six Underground is meant to be about 7 people eventually that were chosen by, so 6 people, because Ryan Reynolds is one of them, that were chosen by this billionaire who's played by Ryan Reynolds, in order to carry out this massive coup plot thing he's got going, because he has a specific revenge boner for this one dictator. So he pretends and gives these grand speeches about saving the world, but in fact he's just angry at one specific dictator and he wants to take him down.
Who ruined his PR stunt that he was doing. Yeah,
because he was a terrible person to begin with. So there wasn't a lot of character growth, but more on that later. Where was I going with that? Right, so it's a bunch of people that were specifically handpicked by the billionaire that is played by Ryan Reynolds, who is also known as One, and they're meant to be the best at what they do, or at least good enough that they would have caught his eye, but they're not that great.
Yeah, oh my god, they're the best at what they do, but what they do they're not very good at.
Yeah.
They are... Because they wanted to go for this ragtag team of specialists.
Yeah.
But I think it really... I can't tell if it's subversive genius, where it really hammers home that just bringing together 6 highly trained people...
is not enough.
It does not automatically mean they're all going to be the most fluid and understanding team of each other.
Oh, yeah. It doesn't mean they work well together.
They are... ridiculously stupid,
They're
all
terrible.
of them.
But it's also just the fact that it doesn't, like, we've got a CIA agent, a hitman, a driver, a doctor, and the billionaire, and the
free runner,
Skywalker,
the free
runner.
Oh my god!
So they call
token free runner.
Yeah, so they call it. So there's one guy who's a free runner who they call the Skywalker, because apparently free runner isn't a term. Yeah, he doesn't seem to. Well, he does a lot of the work.
Yeah.
To be fair to him, a lot more than anyone else.
Mm-hmm. Because the only thing that happens is a driver that takes 4 hours to escape from a helicopter and a couple of other people and destroys so much priceless artwork in the meantime.
Yeah.
And then the CIA agent who just empties clip after clip after clip into the fucking air.
Like me.
Yeah.
I would.
Just like you are in any game. And like fails to hit anything noticeable. And then the doctor who's rooting around through her guts with like scalpels and trying to remove a bullet when you should just leave the bullet in.
The doctor isn't rooting around in her own guts, to clarify. The doctor's rooting around in the guts of the CIA agent who got shot.
Yeah.
And for the entire initial 15-minute car scene, she's just digging around in that CIA agent's stomach, essentially trying to get this bullet out while they're driving. She eventually gets it out, and now there's too much blood loss, which you'd think someone with a license to practice would know not to do.
Yeah, you don't remove the thing that's keeping the blood in.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's a bullet, yeah, whatever. But sticking
she puts
pliers
stuff in there
and
to get it out.
To get it
when
out.
she's got nothing to sanitized with.
Yeah.
She has
I was
nothing to patch the
expecting
wound
someone
up
to
with.
just pour some vodka on it or something like you get in all the films. And
Felt
it's like,
like they
that's
were
not,
just gonna-
stop doing that.
No, it felt really odd, and it felt hot. Odd. It felt.
I thought you said it felt hot. I was like,
No,
you're into some girl-on-girl surgery.
It felt odd to have the hitman when you had a CIA agent, and then number 7, who they get on as well
Who's a
later
soldier.
on, is a soldier.
Yeah.
So it's like 3 people who can do the exact same thing. They
And
can
the
use a weapon.
hitman is the single worst character of them all.
He's terrible. He is
He is-
loud. He's obnoxious.
He's not just bad, he's a detriment to the rest of the team.
Yeah, he makes everything worse.
He actively almost seeks to make things worse by sleeping with another member of the team, with just losing a bit of his gas mask so he gets hit by the funny gas, and is just a fucking moron for like the whole thing, and then goes to see his mum.
Yeah. Oh, that was my absolute favorite thing. Is that they're asked to. So they're 7 underground because they're dead.
Not
Legally, not literally, but like legally and for the purposes of what it means to be alive in the world, they don't exist in order to be able to stage and successfully complete this coup.
Yeah.
So they can't get caught by the authorities or the people that they're trying to overthrow. So, which is fine, but that essentially means no one's allowed to know who you are or where you are, and you can't go see family. It's literally this. It's like,
Yeah.
stay in time out. No one tells me what to do.
Yeah.
Okay,
And he's
well
like, hey
then-
man, she's got like
She's got dementia.
dementia. What's the other? Alzheimer's.
Alzheimer's.
I almost said arthritis. She's got like a massive like congenital memory disease or something.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh well, you know, she can't remember me anyway. And he's like, you're speaking out loud that you're this specific son that's supposed to be dead or something, and there are other people there.
There is a specific scene where one of the nurses in the care home is just standing there listening to this conversation that he's having with his mum, where his mum remembers that he's a hitman, that he's killed
the
people,
bad guy.
and she says it out loud, and this nurse is just standing against the wall,
Just watching,
and
just looming.
he threatens the nurse,
Yeah.
but it doesn't matter because he's already heard it. And it's my favorite thing about it though is they set up this entire foil for him and his backstory, and they tell you a lot about who he is, and then they have
And it never comes up again.
well, no, and they have a tender moment with the rest of the team where eventually they're all like, oh, we're all going to find out each other's names, and they do, because up until that point they'd been going off of just their number code name.
Yeah.
And 1 through 7, and
No, 1 through 6, because 6 gets replaced.
well, 6 gets replaced.
Stop saying 7.
But, well, he's 7. The soldier is 7. They don't ever refer to him as 6.
Oh, is he?
He's 7.
That's how little attention I was paying.
Oh yeah, so they own because it's like, oh well, you're like, this is the other thing is Ryan Reynolds being like, oh, you're replaceable, but then
Immediately
he
makes them not
specifically
replaceable.
Yeah, he specifically refers
So
to
in
them
the
by
second
number.
film, when it's 13 through to 62,
Yeah, so it doesn't, but so they have this touching moment where they all talk about their actual names and briefly introduce themselves to each other, whatever.
Yeah.
But the thing that never really gets discussed is anyone else's backstory. Like, we get a little bit of 7's, who's the soldier. We get a little bit of 3's, who's the hitman.
a little bit of like, even we get less for 1.
We get very little for 1. And then as far as the CIA agent, so 2 and 5,
The doctor.
who is the doctor, as far as they're concerned, nothing. And 4, who is the free runner, has like a little bit where you see how he was recruited. But that's the thing. So they tell you how 4 was recruited, but they don't tell you anything about how 5 was recruited. How did he just come across a fucking doctor? Not to mention that so 5
Was
looks
a dead ringer.
was a dead ringer
for
for
some barmaid that he picked up.
who was his wife. Yeah, he was a dead ringer for the billionaire's wife.
Yeah.
So that it got really confusing at one point where they show you a flashback of his wife and then they show you the doctor and it's like, oh wait, what?
Yeah. Is that the same person? I don't know.
Yeah.
That's the crux of the film, though. That's the
They
whole
were
thing.
forgettable.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on. I don't understand why they're so stupid. Why they fail so spectacularly at everything they do. We're going to have to wrap this little section up
I was
because
going to say,
you and I could talk all day
we could
about
spend
how
the entire
much we
podcast
hate
talking
this.
about how terrible it is. It was just, I don't know if they intended it to be like a fun romp, but it wasn't that.
It was not fun. It was confusing and annoying.
Action movie. It was annoying and it was confusing. And
they just gave everyone Ryan Reynolds' lines.
Yes. And
everybody was so quippy and so smart and so funny all the time. It's like, you can't have that.
No.
That's a comic relief. You can have the comic relief as the main character.
Yeah, like in Deadpool.
But you cannot have everyone be
the comic relief.
Because unless you're doing a movie that's like Scary Movie or
which is a parody of
which
itself.
Nobody takes seriously.
It felt like
we couldn't take the movie seriously.
Well, no, it felt like it was trying to be a parody of those movies where, you know, the lead has a team and they take down a dictator who's a very bad man. But the problem was that they weren't funny enough, or at least they weren't tropey enough for it to be anything like Scary Movie.
Yeah.
And the other thing, I think the best point that you made immediately after we watched the movie, or while we were watching it at one point, was that everyone was given Ryan Reynolds lines, but no one else had his charisma.
Yeah,
so
very much so.
It was absolutely impossible for anyone else to deliver on those lines in the same way that he would. It felt like it was a waste of dialogue whenever someone else was saying something you knew was written for him.
Yeah, I think it's because they must have written it and then thought, oh, everybody else is really boring.
Yeah.
They're supposed to be, pretty much, in comparison.
Yeah.
They're supposed to be straight shooters.
Yeah.
In their own individual little ways, but whatever. I've wasted enough breath on the travesty that was that film.
That was 6 Underground.
Okay, so...
Moving swiftly on.
Yeah, so did you want to jump into like another Netflix thing? Or did you want to go into the game?
Would that make more sense?
Yeah.
It might make more sense to jump onto the next Netflix thing, which is a thing that's... So it's currently number 1 in the UK. I don't know for sure where it ranks in the US, but everyone's talking about it, so I'm assuming it's at least in the top 10 most watched, most popular stuff at the moment. It's been referred to as essential quarantine watching. Yeah. Or viewing. Although I think it sort of predated the quarantine. It's Tiger King. So everyone's been asking everyone else to watch Tiger King and be horrified by what goes on in the documentary. Yeah.
By Carol fucking Baskin. Guess what, motherfucker?
Yeah. I don't know. There's both a lot to say and a lot to unpack, nothing to say about it. Yeah.
If you want to nitpick, there's a lot to say.
It's equally understandable if you come out of watching it never think about it again. Well, no, and you don't want to say anything about it, or you want to just never stop talking about it for the rest of your natural life.
Right. So we've got our 3 main characters. Yeah. The Tiger King himself. Yeah. Carol Baskin. Yeah. And the fucking cult leader who also owns one of the tiger parks nearby.
So it was Joe Exotic, Carol, and Doc. Yeah. That's the cult leader that you're referring to.
Doc. Okay, I think we'll start with Doc, with the least included.
We'll start with Doc.
Doc is a cult leader. Doc runs a cult. That's kind of that. Should he be doing it? No, because he trades sex for a place to live. He's a pimp. Yeah. Or, it's disgusting. He's a very disgusting man.
He's a terrible, terrible man.
It's gross to watch. He is a slimy, hairy, old fucking slug person.
Well, yeah, it wasn't entirely clear at the beginning. They did really... They slowly eased you into the concept that he is actually in a relationship with pretty much everyone who works at his zoo.
And he picks out their clothing
and he decides what they do and how they work, and they work 12-hour shifts every day and 7 days a week.
Yeah, and get paid like $100.
Yeah, which is, if you live on the like in the zoo, then it's enough to get whatever else you need from around there. And if someone else is picking out your clothing, it makes sense that you wouldn't.
If he pays for it.
Yeah, you wouldn't need a lot of disposable income, but it's very, very weird.
It's shady shit.
I mean, the entire concept to me of owning a private zoo is odd because I don't think it's legal here.
I'm not too sure. Probably not, and it shouldn't be.
No, but okay, I can look this up. No, I don't think it's legal. So looking at it, you can sort of own a zoo or a private zoo, as it were, a small zoo here, or in the UK to be more specific, but you'd need a license to own and operate that zoo.
Yeah.
Which from my understanding of what was going on in that documentary, none of those people who were shown to own big cats had a license. They just owned big cats. But I don't think there isn't any clear legislation to stop them from owning big cats as long as they're not. They
all had a problem with breeding. There was a legal thing with that, but that was about it. That's what I really saw that was breaking any actual laws.
But that's what eventually that was what they caught Joe Exotic on, because it was the breeding and selling of animals. They had evidence of it because of his logs, and it was part of what he was charged with. But owning the animals in and of themselves without a license didn't seem to be a problem.
Well, yeah. I mean, the whole thing was just pretty weird.
Yeah.
And not good.
No.
I mean, one of the big comparison things I want to look at is at the start he was like, oh, these animals shouldn't be here. They shouldn't be in this country. And then it quickly turned into, I am the Tiger King.
It was really
I've always
sad.
been the motherfucking Tiger King.
Yeah, it was really sad because we started out going, he's not that bad.
Yeah.
You know.
And by the end of it, we're like, he's just hired a man to kill someone.
Yeah. I was like, oh, she's, Carol's just, this woman isn't any better. Her sanctuary is, she's,
Slave trade, slave labor.
Sorry, her sanctuary is being run for profit.
Yeah.
With people who are not paid to help her, with volunteers, even though she's making a profit off it.
Yeah.
So she's no better. But then by the end of it, Joe was just nuts. But I think it was ultimately the turning point was when he stopped caring about what was going on with the cats, and it was no longer about their safety or their well-being, and it was very much just, this is my personal vendetta. Yeah.
He lost his fucking mind pretty clear on pretty early. And then when he just kept antagonizing the already rich Carol Baskin.
Yeah, and her husband.
Yeah, her husband, who his literal life goal is to make Carol happy.
Yeah.
Super cute when he's in a fucking leash on their wedding photos.
Right, so everyone's bringing up these photos because they weren't really discussed in the documentary itself. There's just a moment where there's a little montage where they talk about Carol marrying her second husband her third husband, technically. Was she married to her? Yeah, she was married to the first guy. So her third husband. And there's just wedding photos where she's in a wedding dress and she's got him on a leash and she's wearing a flower crown and he's dressed up like a caveman.
No, he was dressed like a tiger.
Or was he meant to be dressed like a tiger?
Okay. Yeah. I think you can discuss a lot of things about Carol Baskin. Does she look like Salacious Crumb? Yes. However, the big question is, do you think Carol Baskin killed her husband?
I don't know.
Because there's so many things, right? Primarily the way she responds to every time someone's like, did you kill your husband? She's like, no. Did I? Oh, silly. That's...
Do I know exactly how you'd... It's the answer she gives. Okay, so this is kudos to like the cinematographer and the people who edited this documentary and everyone who was responsible for making it. But essentially,
think cinematographer is the right word. I think director was what you.
The director.
After. Yeah.
Is there no cinematographer for?
There probably was.
There would be someone who's just responsible for like the camera work. Isn't that a cinematographer? I don't know.
The director.
You're the one who's got a media degree.
The guy that wanted it to made it look a specific way
is the director.
Yes.
Then what is the cinematographer?
Well, the director is for the coherent story.
Right, and
with
then
everything sort of coming together.
Whatever. Anyway,
the cinematographers for the shots in specific.
That's what I mean.
Okay.
Anyway, anyone who worked on it, because it was the way that it was edited together and the questions that were asked, which are mostly down to like the journalistic aspect of it. But essentially, there's that moment where Joe gets attacked by his own tiger.
Yeah.
And he is so paranoid because it's late in the game that he's like, someone put cologne on my shoes.
Yeah.
And then, the tiger attacked my shoe. And she's asked about what she thinks. Like, they were like, this story because it was in the papers and it was on the news.
Yeah.
And that he said that he had cologne on his shoes. And she's like,
that's not how
that's
you
not
that's not how you get a tiger to eat someone.
Yeah, that's not what you'd put on a shoe.
Yeah. I put like sardine oil or something.
Yeah. And it's just like, okay, lady.
Yeah. But it's also the other guy that was like, oh, Don. Is it Don? Don?
Huh?
The husband that got ate. Or the husband that disappeared.
Because he's Mr. Baskin. I can't remember.
Whatever. The husband who clearly got ate. He apparently, according to like one other person, said the phrase or something to the effect of, if I pull this off, it will be the slickest thing I ever did.
Yeah.
If that doesn't sound like the most made up bullshit you've ever heard in your life.
If that doesn't sound like someone's wife covered them in sardine oil.
Yeah. And then fed them to a cat.
And then had a little Freudian slip where she was like, he said that it would be the slickest. Oh shit.
Yeah. It's literally it's because it's the other guy. I'm pretty sure it was Dom's or Don or whatever his name was, lawyer or something, who said Don came over.
No, it was the handyman.
Was it the handyman?
Yeah, he was like, the last thing he said to me was, if I pull this off, it will be the slickest thing I ever did. And then, because he walked out, he was like, so they had this conversation.
Then he took a phone call and
walked out, and then they never spoke again. So the handyman was like, I don't know what he was talking about.
Early
in the morning, yeah.
And to take some cars to fucking Guadalajara or wherever. No, you got 8.
Yeah.
That's obvious. And I mean, even if it's not, Carol is clearly doing it so the spotlight stays on her.
Oh, yeah.
Even if she didn't kill her husband.
One way or the other, because even if he did, just take a private plane and fly over to where he wanted to.
Why did he leave all his millions?
That's the thing, yeah. But if, even if he did take a private plane, he went to where he wanted to go and he's happy somewhere out there.
Thing is, he could have cited irreconcilable differences.
Divorced her.
They could have just divorced her, and he would have been able to afford lawyers that would have destroyed her.
Well, he wanted to. They were in the process of sort of having that done. Because
so if he wanted to
kept
do that,
talking
he could
about
have just done that.
Yeah, he kept talking about how much they didn't get along.
Yeah.
And there was all that funny business with the will.
Where she literally went in.
She broke into his secretary's office and grabbed it.
I'm sorry, but it's like where Carol just walks in with a pen, scribbles out what
the name,
and he's like, everything goes to Carol Baskin, Carol motherfucking Baskin, and everybody's like, oh well, okay then.
Yeah.
On the will, it clearly states.
If I were to die or disappear.
Yeah. And if I were to get eaten by cats, Carol Baskin should get everything.
Yeah.
It's like, well, that's suspicious. But yeah. So I mean, that's all there really is to talk about in regards to Carol motherfucking Baskin.
The whole thing was odd. I think my favorite thing about it was how it was done, how the story was set out.
It was entertaining.
It was incredibly entertaining.
I couldn't directly sit and watch it because it was, a lot of it was so, because what is it I described? Cringe
porn is
I
what
called
you
it
described
cringe
it as.
porn, where people who like cringing would watch Joe Exotic.
Yeah.
Because he's a fucking lunatic. And I can't deal with cringy stuff. I can't watch Ben Stiller movies. I can't watch Joe Exotic. I shrivel up into a ball and I roll out of the room.
His music was really good.
Yeah. Funny. It was funny. It wasn't good.
No.
But he... And that Carol Baskin lookalike.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. I thought he'd actually collaborated with Carol. when I first saw her in the car.
So weird.
That was crazy.
But
That's good casting.
That's the thing. He was a good entertainer, and I think that was one of the things that everyone who knew him talked about, was that he was just really good at.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. He had the spotlight on him too long, and it cooked his brain.
Yeah.
He's an absolute nutbag.
He is.
But yeah, he was kind of entertaining to watch.
It is really
But then that
sad.
poor kid just fucking shoots himself.
Both of his partners.
Who are not gay.
Neither of whom were gay.
Neither of whom were gay, because he was just feeding them meth or something.
Yeah.
And that poor bugger with no teeth, and that other poor bugger with
He's
no
all right.
brain.
His first husband is fine now. He's with like a person that he cares about, presumably, hopefully, and he's got a new set of teeth.
Yeah.
Because we tracked. Did you track him down on Facebook?
No.
How did you find him?
It came up in my recommended.
Oh right, okay.
That gummy toothless motherfucker
So
this thing has got teeth now.
We talked a lot.
Like, that's a pretty interesting title
Yeah.
for a web article.
We talked a lot about the fact that he really should get those teeth looked at, and then you looked at your phone and it was like, oh, do you know that guy you've been talking about? He's got his teeth looked at.
Yeah, well, my phone was listening to us watching the film, watching the documentary.
So yeah.
All right. When my phone was listening in on the conversation or listening in on us watching it.
Yeah.
It was like, hey, guess who's got teeth now? And I was like, oh hey, I'm glad. Good on him. He was painful to look at beforehand.
No.
But he got that sorted, so good on him. But yeah, no, and then when it fell into disrepair, and then that fucking con man came along and took the park out from under Joe.
From under Joe, yeah.
Who, I'm assuming he's just going to turn it into a strip club.
Well, no, he wants to open up another zoo, so he's going to close down Joe's, and then he's going to open up another zoo in a different place.
Then when you see him talk about the babysitter he's getting.
Oh, right. That's
like,
the closing thing they chose.
Yeah, and he looks so smug with himself. And the woman has got like these sad eyes because she knows.
Yeah.
His wife knows that he's going to cheat.
Because they opened, I quite liked how they closed it. This goes back into, it was just really well done. So it opened with a discussion about how big cat people are just backstabby and really, really scummy. And it closed with just that, a really good example of how they're not just like, they're not backstabby and scummy because they own big cats. You are that kind of person, and then you also want to own big cats. It's a status symbol, and it specifically works for people who are like that personality wise anyway.
If you own a tiger, you're an asshole.
Yeah.
Put it back in the fucking wild. Or, you know, if that one can't go back into the wild because you've had it for so long or something, then that's kind of that on that ground.
Well, no,
you can't really release it, but you should put it into an enclosure.
They could have sanctuaries.
Yeah.
So the whole point is that
it shouldn't be in cages, and it shouldn't be in a house.
Yeah, the whole point that it was that while like Baskin's idea was goodish, it wasn't a proper
husband in sardine oil.
No, it wasn't a proper sanctuary in the way that proper sanctuaries exist and are managed, and her cats absolutely did not have enough space to roam. She with her entire enclosure zoo thing was about the same size as Joe Exotic's.
Yeah.
There wasn't anything different about it, other than how she marketed it.
Yeah.
So it just doesn't if you own a tiger and you realize that maybe you shouldn't own that tiger, give it to a proper sanctuary.
And when they just go and like get all the excess meat from Walmart, and they just chucking sausages over a fence at a tiger. Yeah. It's like, look, I think that's not good. That animal should not be like that. Should not be in captivity.
No.
It's just a goddamn shame at the end of the day. But no, it was entertaining to be in the same room as.
I think ultimately the reason why it's quote unquote good timeout viewing is because of the way that the story was set. The story was set up. The way it was told and shot and edited together, it's just very good. It's a very good example of what documentaries should play out like,
Yeah.
and what they should be like.
I like it didn't force a moral down our throat. It
Yeah.
let us, because documentaries I don't think should. They're documentaries. They're just documenting
It stayed
what
fairly
happened.
neutral. Yeah.
And it let the viewers make up their own minds on pretty much everything contained therein.
It never felt like it was making fun of anyone at any point as well.
Yeah, when they just make fun of themselves.
Yeah, well, they
Pretty much.
let people who they were interviewing and people who were giving accounts talk about each other as they would normally do, but there wasn't any sort of agenda that was being pushed or them talking about any particular person in a demeaning or derogatory way. There wasn't anything with the way that the shots were set up that would make you think, oh, that person's grosser than the other people.
Yeah.
It was very mostly neutrally presented, as much as you can, I guess, with a situation like that. Yeah.
And that was Tiger King.
That was Tiger King. Moving swiftly on.
And when I was sitting there not being able to watch it because it was cringe porn, I was playing Animal Crossing.
Right, yes. There we go. It's a good segue.
That's the other thing. That's the third thing. It's
From
the trifecta.
One capitalist entrepreneur to another capitalist entrepreneur. We move on from Joe Exotic to Tom Nook.
I am furious at that fucking Tanuki. Okay, so what are the talking points we've got?
The talking points are one that I haven't written down yet, which is
Coming prepared.
why Nintendo, is it an island per console?
Yeah, fuck you. Because I set up the game while you were doing some work.
Yeah.
While we're in timeout, you were working from home for a bit. And I was like, I've been paid. I'm gonna buy the game, and then we'll be able to, have some fun with that. I'll just set it up for you ready. And I'd lean over to her every now and again and be like, is this okay? Is this name okay? It's a democracy. Everybody gets a say.
Yeah.
And I had set it all up, completely forgetting it was a one island per account, basically.
Well, no, it's an island per console. It's not an
but
island
I created the island. I'm the head honcho of the representative or whatever the hell.
So that's the crux of the issue, is that I knew that it was an island per console, but I was like, surely that just means, you set the island up so you're the resident representative, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, but I thought we'd both be.
But
I thought the humans were the representatives.
But I understood that you pick, you'd pick the name of the island, and you'd pick sort of, or you'd answer some questions, and that would maybe influence what fruits we had and what we had access to. Fine. But then I would also imagine that I came on as a second player and they wouldn't treat me like a little sister.
Yeah. Or that nothing that we chose could be altered. I couldn't then make you island representative. I couldn't change the name of the island. I couldn't change my own name or anything.
Nope, it's done.
Because if I could have done all that stuff, I could have literally just... I don't know what.
I just think I just think giving only one player, so quote unquote the head player, decisions about island infrastructure and where houses are, and
which means you have to go onto my account
to do anything
and play the game through my character in order to accomplish anything at all.
It's not only a little bit frustrating, but it's a little bit like condescending.
Yeah.
And I think even if I was playing it with like an older sibling, I'd still be a little bit annoyed. Like if I was like, I don't know, 7 and my older sibling was like 13 and they were like, well, I've set this up and you can't change anything about it, I'd be a bit miffed. Because the only things that you can affect, so to speak, if you're the second player, are you can cut trees down and take resources away and stuff, and you can sort of interact with the islanders, but I don't think you can have a proper effect in kicking them off the island. It still has to be the head player. So you can't really, because there's been a few memes here and there about people's siblings ruining their islands, and I feel like everyone's just being really dramatic because they have made it foolproof. They don't have that much power. No. Yeah. They've made it so that you can't, and I'm not saying that I want to just get on your island and mess stuff up, but I would like to, be able to be like, I'd like to move someone's house because I know that you won't mind because we're two adults playing a video game.
As long as you don't move my house, it's fine.
Yeah, which is fine to, for that to not be an option. But I don't.
I have a big. So there's that. That's a big issue I have. I also have a couple of issues with gameplay. Right. So I've been pretending to be more salty about it than I actually am because it's a game and I don't care all that much. But there are a couple of things that rustle my jimmies. Yeah. One being the progression of time, primarily that it follows actual time, and that moves slow enough as it is. I want to play a game to pass time. I don't want to have to pass time in a game. This
is why it's been touted as being a good timeout game, because you play a specific amount of it in a day. So say you can get, you say you're not time traveling, which we're going to bring up in a second, and you just play as much as you can, do all the tasks that you can do in a day, and you'll play in like 20-minute increments 2 to 3 times a day, because you'll want to play before noon, afternoon, and then maybe in the evening to get different things. Yeah. Which means you're playing it for about an hour in small increments, and then with other, if you want to, with the rest of the time that you have during the day, you're meant to do other stuff. So it's like a good example of what video gaming should be, which is that you should play it in small amounts over the course of the day rather than in one big binge.
Then it's not very gamer friendly, is it? Because I sit and play a game for days.
Yeah, but you're not meant to.
You telling me how to live my life?
Yeah. It's also...
You're somehow suggesting me having a symbiotic relationship with this couch
is a problem.
It's
maybe
some kind of issue.
It's also like the reason why it's good for time out is because you're meant to be doing other things. You're meant to try and keep a semblance of normality or routine to your day, and Animal Crossing helps you do that by essentially going, this is all you can do here right now, put it down and come back to it in a bit, or come back to it tomorrow.
I don't want to do that. I want to win.
So then you can time travel.
Yeah.
Which what some people have been doing.
Punishes you.
Yes. To an extent.
We time traveled 10 years, and Vesta was like, I think it's time I left. And you were
it was 10 years.
No, it's fucking not.
Apparently, according to I think so, we've never played any of the other Animal Crossing games before, but from what I've seen and read, there are other previous games where you don't get that option. If you time travel 10 years and then come in, your villagers are just gone. You don't get to go poke them and go, no, you stay here, stay with me.
Or I will send Pietro.
We love Pietro.
He thirsts for your candy floss.
This is a Pietro loving household. He makes you candy floss. He doesn't thirst for it. He has a candy floss machine in his candy floss house.
I like that he says honk honk. That's about it.
You don't like that he doesn't have a bed in his house and it's just clouds everywhere?
And it's a nightmare hellscape.
Yeah.
Above the clouds.
Yeah.
With just a candy floss machine and a jukebox and...
Jukebox.
Jukebox.
You said jukebox.
I said jukebox.
Yeah.
A jukebox. Is that like a poop thing? With a candy floss machine and a jukebox and those Wheel of Fortunes.
Yeah.
And Wheels of Fortunes.
He's got 2
Wheels of Fortune.
Wheels of Fortune.
Yeah.
He's got 2 fortune wheels.
Yeah, and it's a nightmare in there.
It's wonderful.
It looks like the inside of a freezer.
Yeah.
For the corpses that he will turn into candy floss. But he says honk honk, so he's alright in my book.
He's also a performer, and when you speak to him, he says when he first moves in...
He does go into the town centre and go... or whatever the fuck.
When you speak to him initially, he says that he's now here on your island, and sometimes he will laugh.
I'll never leave.
Sometimes he will laugh, and sometimes he will cry, and such is the life of a performer. And I feel that.
Pietro the sad clown.
Yeah, Pietro the sad happy clown.
Yeah. Sappy
clown.
In any case,
clown. Anyway,
he is a nightmare.
No, he's not.
Vesta's Al is doing my nutting.
We've got so our island at the moment consists of Pietro, Vesta, Al, Cherry, Boots, Naomi, and Carmen. Some of which I believe, I don't know if anyone who plays Animal Crossing is listening to this, but I'm pretty sure like Carmen, Cherry, in particular, are like high value, or at least people like having them around because I guess they're just pretty. I don't know. Everyone's got their specific opinions about which islanders or villagers they like. But I've seen people talking about like, I want Cherry on my island, or I want Carmen on my island. Carmen does have a cute house.
I want that chubby hamster.
The chubby hamster.
I've seen him about.
Yeah.
I demand it.
Did you know that there are... Did you know?
Yeah.
Gaming.
Did
you know that there are like cards, like amiibo cards that Nintendo released ages ago, with the villagers, or islanders in this case, that you can scan, and I think you just get them. They're for like all of the Animal Crossing games, but I think they're also valid for this. But they're currently on eBay for like hundreds of dollars, like $200 per card, and yeah,
that's gonna be a no from me. Yeah.
Because I think they were like a set of 30 was like $30 or something when they initially came out.
Sorry, jumping back.
Yeah.
Things that bother me about Animal Crossing.
The gameplay.
Here's my top 10 list. Here's my Watch Mojo top 10 list. What things that piss me off about Animal Crossing. The fucking eggs.
It's Bunny Day season.
I don't give a fuck. I want to go into the game. I want to play some fucking villager and chop some wood and make some chairs and outfit my house with kit, and finally maybe get a toilet, and I don't want to go around picking up fucking eggs everywhere, baby. I want it to have a nice balance of maybe one egg per 50 things that I chop and pick up or whatever.
Recently nerfed.
Yeah, they've nerfed it because they had to, because they were probably damaging the traffic that goes into the game. People probably aren't playing the game as much because it's fucking eggs everywhere. Everything I do is eggs. There's sky eggs, land eggs, sea eggs, fucking
stone eggs.
Yeah,
wood eggs and leaf eggs.
I just exist in this egg world full of fucking eggs, and I look down at this star fragment, the last glimmer of hope I've got, but it's not. It's an egg. It's always been an egg. I am an egg. Everything's eggs, baby.
And Zipper is Tom Nook.
He's got to be.
Yeah.
Tom Nook, you fucker. Right. So another thing is I am.
Did you want to buy
fuming.
A plot of land?
Yeah. No, that's the thing though, because he doesn't say it like that. He doesn't even pose it like that. He's like, hey, we want some villagers. We should sell some land. Do you want to buy this land? I'm like, the villager should buy the land. They should at least pay taxes or something.
Wait, no, doesn't he phrase it as like he doesn't say that you're buying the land up until the very last moment?
So right up until you're about to buy it.
Yeah, so he's like, oh, we're going to have some islanders come over. We need people to be interested in this island.
Yeah.
We want them to come and move here.
This is what I don't fucking get. It's our island. We own all the land.
Well, no, we don't. Tom does. So he bought the island. He then made you a deal for a ticket to relocate there with him.
Yeah.
You did. And he gave you a tent as part of it.
But he also made you then buy the land.
He then sold you the land on which your house rests. Yeah. Because initially he just gave you a tent.
Which is fucking bull. Because he's like, we should sell some land. And then what was it? What was the series of events that led up to, and my reaction to those events?
Well, no, it was him going, if we want more residents, then we should sell some land. We should sell some land.
That's 10,000.
We will give you a reward of 1,000 Nook miles for everyone who moves in and takes a plot of land. And you're like, yeah, okay. And you press the thing of like, give me a plot of land. And he's like, that'll be 10,000 bells.
Yeah, he slaps some fucking cuffs on you. Or you go to turn around and then Isabel's there with an axe in front of the door. And it's like, that'll be 10,000 bells, please. And I'm like, oh great, so I have to buy it then, you fat bitch. I can't believe you have done this to me again. I own that island now. I have paid for everything on it.
Yeah.
Tom Nook works for... I am the captain now. I am the Tanuki now.
I think what offsets, because it's like the question is, Tom Nook's got all this money, all these bells. I'm naming this video
Tom Nook's a fat bitch.
all of these bells. Where where's all this money going? What's he doing with it? And the answer is
Drugs.
you go into Timmy and Tommy's shop, Nook's Cranny, and you sell them some crap, and they just give you all the money back. That's how it works. That's how the economy on the island works. It's because it must be, because where else are they making that money from?
They make so much money.
Yeah, but you're just selling them tarantulas, and they're like,
money printer go. It's we are gonna do the tarantula thing tonight.
Oh, the Tarantula Island, yeah.
We are desperate for money. We have destroyed the island for its resources, and now we're going to other islands and destroying them.
Yeah.
Because nothing makes money fast enough.
No.
We have to become tarantula breeders. It feels
impossible.
Yeah.
And I think the reason why it feels so impossible is because there's so much to do. Which
it's all the lawsuits that we've been taking from Floral Gaskin.
Which is not it's not a bad thing, to be honest. If we're sat there going, there's so many things to spend bells on that we just can't seem to make enough and not in enough time.
Yeah.
It means that you're enjoying the cozy simulator that is Animal Crossing.
I want to die. I don't like how long it takes to do anything.
Right.
I don't like going into a game and not being productive in that either.
Well, you are productive because you're doing little tasks that are meaningful. They make a visible change.
Oh, I have yet to see any of this visible change that I did not
you
directly
paid
have to pay
10,000 bells for a plot of land.
How long is it going to be till there's microtransactions? Just pay Nintendo £100 and then you get a fucking hug from Timmy.
I want that.
Fuck that little bastard.
No, it's because it is effort and reward, and it's almost immediate. So you pay 10,000 bells, you get a plot of land.
Unless you use the box outside the shop.
In which case you have to wait until the next day.
Yeah.
No, but you pay 10,000 bells, you buy a plot of land, you put it down, and within the next 24-hour cycle, someone's bought it. And within the next 24-hour cycle after that, someone's moved in. You get an almost immediate response. It's not so immediate that you're like, oh, I'm just going to see it straight away. It creates the right level of suspense that you're like, oh, I wonder who's moving in here. And then it turns out that it's a chicken with a bell on its head called Nox.
I think that's a helmet.
Is it a helmet?
I think because he's like Greek or something. Or
what?
Like he's a... I don't know.
I think it's just a straight up bell.
No, I thought it was...
He's just wearing a bell.
So what? Is he like the Clucking Bell mascot from GTA?
Down below if you're watching this on YouTube if he's just wearing a bell.
I think he's wearing a gold helmet.
Okay.
Anyway. It's a chore simulator.
Yes, it is. It absolutely is a chore simulator.
And that drives me fucking mental.
But
because the chores never end. I am playing it.
Because you like it.
I'm going to like it when we cheat. I'm going to like it when we have far too much money. And...
when KK Slider...
Yeah, when KK Slider's arrived and we can...
We haven't done it yet.
We can change the island with our willpower alone.
Yeah.
Then I will be happy. Then the game will be good.
Then there won't be... I don't know. I mean... So I think there's always updates to it, and as time goes on, they're going to start adding more stuff. But at the moment, your end game really is getting KK Slider, because I think after that you get all of the stuff that you can, all the upgrades and everything that you can do with the island more or less unlocks.
And it's going to be so good.
Okay.
When
you want it. The fact that you want it, that you're sat there going, I want this.
I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to pretend that I'm not Tom Nook's gimp and that he's got me by the fucking nuts with his... in a vice-like grip.
Yeah.
He is ruining my life. But yeah, I'm going to play it and I'm going to win.
That's, yeah.
However it is that is done.
It's a good game.
It's an alright game.
GG.
GG. Okay.
GG. Right.
So
I think we're going to wrap it up
those were
here.
the three things.
Those are our 3 timeout things. We'll probably come out with, for the foreseeable future, pretty much everything we're going to be talking about is going to be more timeout stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
But hopefully timeout will end soon.
And probably not. We will die like this. I mean, stay happy and healthy, everybody.
Stay safe.
That's Dr. Mike's thing, isn't it?
Yeah. Save.
Fuck bitches and make bells. All right. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Thank you for listening.
Have a lovely time out and stay safe and don't go outside.
Have a lovely time in.
Yes.
in timeout.
Oh. Bye.
Bye.